So last year began with a wonderful meeting in Chicago as we celebrated Stu Steinemann's presidency. The energy and enthusiasm that you mentioned at that meeting was palpable, and we hoped only to be able to build upon it at the 2020 Seattle meeting. However, the meeting gods were sending us some early warning signs. As you may recall, Sue suffered knee injury from which she has thankfully recovered, and a blizzard passed through Chicago. Several flights were canceled and many of us needed to stay an extra day. Undeterred, Dr. Shavahang, the program chair for the 2020 Seattle meeting, and I took the opportunity to meet with our meeting management staff and get a jump start on the planning process. By early summer, we had decided that the theme of the meeting would be education excellence across the spectrum of surgical learning. We had secured 2 keynote speakers, one of whom was Cy Wakeman. She was to deliver the Foltz lectureship. She's a renowned speaker and trainer who writes about reality-based leadership. It's interesting in that Alan's lecture had a lot to do with reality today as well. Dr. Foltz was never a president of our society, but he was really the character and the backbone behind it. And so this lectureship was dedicated in honor of Dr. Foltz. The other lecture was Dr. Alan Kirk, from whom you heard the Laycock lecture earlier today. Alan, as you know, is chair at Duke and a wonderful human being. I consider him my friend, and everyone should be so fortunate to work with him. Starting in July last year, Mo and program co-chair Mark DeMoya, along with other program committee members, including Amy Gardner, Roy Fityakorn, Yoko Rishima, Andy Wright, our local chair, Paula Kutik, Miranda Chitian spent many hours on monthly calls. They planned the meeting with exquisite attention to detail and filled it with quality educational programming and social events. I wish I was at the brewery right now, enjoying the after hours. The importance of the scientific content and the social interaction at the ASE meetings cannot be understated. These are great opportunities to network, meet mentors and mentees, form scientific collaboration, and become engaged in the society's business. It is wonderful to feel rejuvenated by the joy of being surgical educators after attending one of these events. The program committee also planned to honor the land of the Duwamish on which Seattle is built. The development committee, under the leadership of Dr. Nabil Issa, Alan Harsman, and the administrative support of Janae Root, went above and beyond in obtaining sponsorships to help support the meeting. Therefore, I begin this address with profound gratitude to the members of the program and the development committee, all of the speakers who had planned to present their scientific work, and the membership who had planned to attend the Seattle meeting. Nonetheless, I'm very grateful that the program committee has given you a flavor for that meeting through the ASE meeting highlights, and that we found a way to recognize the presenters through the session and the invited manuscripts through the American Journal of Surgery. We were also able to honor the award winners, and please take some time to visit the website and celebrate their achievements. After the Chicago meeting in April 2019, the executive group and a management team met in Dallas for a whole-day retreat. The group spent reviewing the strategic plan and discussing major initiatives for the year. This event built on the strategic retreat held in Austin, Texas, that was led by Dr. Amelia Cochran during her presidency. The Austin retreat resulted in a fine-tuned vision statement to impact surgical education globally and developed a sharper focus on our mission to lead innovation, scholarship, and professional development in surgical education. Goals were established to grow membership and maximize engagement, maintain financial stability, and enable growth, align resources with strategic plan priorities, and set standards in surgical education. Additional recommendations were made to reorganize the society's governance to make us more nimble. Dr. Sue Steinemann led the governance task force that led to these structural changes and completed that process during her presidency. The Dallas retreat picked up from there and addressed each of these goals in detail that had been laid out in the strategic plan. As we discussed membership, we specifically addressed diversity and inclusion within our society. We noted that several of our past presidents have been PhD educators and women, and that while there was gender parity among current committee chairs, we strongly felt that the current all-men composition of the executive emphasized the need for a more deliberate process. Accordingly, we decided to create a task force with the membership committee led by Dr. Gurjeet Sandhu to help guide the society. The task force was charged with evaluating where are we now and how could we do better. This task force led to the development of the statement on diversity that is available on the website and is planning a culture survey under the leadership of Dr. Danny Scott. We also discussed the need to facilitate leadership within our organization. The path to leadership once a committee chair had completed their term was unclear. Our group felt a strong need to engage leaders in our society and capitalize on their energy and experience, including past presidents and committee chairs beyond their term. In addition, we needed to promote members who were either meritorious or deserving of an opportunity to shine. The vice chair nomination process was revamped to include exec input early so we could pay attention to some of these issues. To make the leadership opportunities more transparent, all open positions in the society, including presidential nominations, are now advertised. Committee chair and exec input is obtained and all merits of the applicants considered before appointments are made. Several such opportunities were made available this year on the Finance, Development, Award, and the Program Committee, as well as on the Foundation Board, Recorder, and Treasurer appointments. This process was codified and is available through the society. The immediate past president now serves on the exec to provide continuity with the initiatives, stay engaged with the society, and has the explicit goal of informing the nominating committee of worthy candidates in consultation with the executive group. Interestingly, as we looked at some of the applicants for these positions, we realized that there were many new members who wanted to become engaged in the society and were applying for these positions so they may do so. Coincidentally, Maura Sullivan, who directs the SURF program, had also received many requests from the membership to join SURF with the explicit idea of becoming better educators. Therefore, to serve both ends, the Surgical Education and Leadership Fellowship, SELF, was conceived and launched under the leadership of Dr. Laura Torbeck, with Dr. Sullivan serving as in an advisory capacity. We hope that SELF will engage established leaders and educators in the society to serve as mentors and train aspiring members to be future excellent educators and leaders. I'm confident that in time, SELF will become one of our proven crown jewels, just like SURF is. As you know, SURF is an ASE branded program that has trained a community of researchers in the society and is directed by Dr. Maura Sullivan with Dr. David Rogers, one of our past presidents, as co-director. To facilitate the growth of SURF and SELF, we made the commitment to provide administrative support from our management team going forward. In addition, we provided administrative support to all of our committees. While these services will incur more expenses, we believe that this is an important investment for the future of our society. However, to be good stewards of our financial resources, we took a very close look at our finances under the leadership of our treasurer, Dr. Michael Awad. A budget task force was created that will carefully evaluate all expenses and sources of income from the annual meeting. This is separate from the Finance Committee. Mike deserves a huge shout out as he played a leading role in managing our finances last year around contract negotiation and meeting cancellation. He also carefully managed our revenue streams and guided us through this process with great wisdom. Previously, Dr. Adnan Al-Saidi, as our previous treasurer and leader of the finance task force, had invested our money wisely. Therefore, we are fortunate to be in stable financial condition and are able to support our commitments and develop new projects like the ASE Traveling Fellowship proposed by the Simulation Committee and Atlas to fulfill our mission. Dr. Stefanidis worked on the bylaws as secretary to reflect the new governance structure, and as recorder, he evaluated our relationship with our society's journal. As you heard, over the past several years, the American Journal of Surgery has significantly increased the number of publications from the annual meeting. Dr. Stefanidis also added BMJ Simulation as an additional forum to publish simulation-related articles to be able to accommodate this overflow. He continues to evaluate options that would be in the best interest of our society. Danny Scott and Adnan also worked with Dr. Armourforce to redefine the foundation board and populate it with new members. As you recall, several years ago, the fate of the foundation and its relationship with the main ASE organization was unclear. However, this is no longer so. We are one, we represent each other, and we work for each other's benefit. Service on the foundation now counts as much as working on a leadership role in one of the committees. The foundation had planned to launch a 1 million campaign at the Seattle meeting, but this was postponed due to the impact of COVID. The campaign is now getting back on track, as you heard from Dr. Armourforce earlier today. The corpus from this campaign will help support our education mission and will be particularly important in uncertain times. We have many programs in development and other innovative ideas. All of these require your financial support to be successful. Therefore, I strongly urge you to contribute to the foundation and support this campaign, as this is an investment in our future. Quality programs and curricular development have been the hallmark of society. Over the past year, the executives worked on other major curricula. One such innovative program is the Atlas. Dr. Danny Scott, Dimitri Nepomuchet, and the Simulation Committee have worked tirelessly on this project, and it is very close to becoming reality. This program is wholly ASE funded and branded. It is designed to train and test advanced laparoscopic skills and promises to lead to more research and potential revenue. As we continue to establish a leadership role in education, we are proud of the many curricula that ASE has developed over the last several years. These include the ACS, ASE Medical Student Simulation Curriculum. This program was developed under the leadership of past President Dan Jones and is currently co-chaired by Robert Acton and Andre Campbell. The ACS APDS AC Resident Prep Curriculum was developed under the leadership of Dr. Rebecca Minner. And the ACS ASE Core Curriculum is currently co-chaired by Mark DeMoya and I. I would like to spend some time on this particular curriculum, as this has been the newest kid on the block and I've been intimately involved in its development. This curriculum builds upon the Manual of Surgical Objectives that was written by the Association Curriculum Committee several years ago. As chair of the Clerkship Directors Committee, Bob Nesbitt had been championing for the development of the national curriculum for years. Concomitantly, Karen Brassel began the work of updating the Manual of Surgical Objectives when I was a member of the Curriculum Committee. Talk about being at the right place at the right time. As I rose to be chair of the Curriculum Committee, the stars aligned. Better lucky than good, as I always say. Steve Yang was the chair of the Clerkship Directors Committee, and Linda Barney was the president of the association. We all thought that this curriculum was much needed. Therefore, the Curriculum Committee continued the process of revising the Manual of Surgical Objectives. This also led to the development of the Clerkship Directors Workshop under the leadership of Steve Yang, now known variably as Troubleshooting Your Clerkship or Clerkship 101, 102, etc., and was the combined effort between the Clerkship Directors and the Curriculum Committee. The goal of this workshop was to inform Clerkship Directors on how best to use the curriculum. Further development of the curriculum needed significant resources if we were to move forward, and this was accelerated by a partnership between the American College of Surgeons and the Association for Surgical Education under the leadership of President Linda Barney. As you saw earlier, we created a task force with equal representation, both from the Surgical Education Association and the American College of Surgeons. The ASE representatives were chair of the curriculum, which was me, Clerkship Director is Steve Yang, Assessment, Loretta Glynn, Faculty Development, Celeste Holland, and the President of the ASE, Linda Barney. All of the brain trust of the society was there. The ACS representatives, in addition to Mark DeMoya as co-chair, were Andre Campbell, Becky Sippel, Ajit Sachdeva, also a past president, Patrice Blair, Kim Eckert, and Sherilyn Sherman. Later, Kim Brown and Sheena Hudson joined the group, and we decided to lead the curriculum in a symptom-based fashion, as this is how patients present for evaluation. I would like to give a particular shout out to Kim and to Sheena, without whose tireless energy and effort, and yes, constant badgering, this program would not move forward. We thought that the curriculum was needed for a variety of different reasons. There's considerable variability in knowledge and skills of medical students across the country. The LCME also requires uniform experience across multiple sites within the same institution. Overall, there had been a reduction in the duration of the clerkship, so we were asked to do more with less. Textbooks were encyclopedic and made it difficult for students to really understand what is important. Therefore, students were primarily working towards getting good scores on examinations such as the SHELF and the USMLE, as highlighted by the elimination of USMLE 1 scores as it previously stood. And in this regard, there was a disconnect between the SHELF examination and the clerkship. We began with a new needs assessment survey with an IRB protocol to select the most important topics to cover and better understand the structure and duration of clerkships nationally, so we could generalize this curriculum. The survey demonstrated that the need for development of such a curriculum was strongly supported by medical students and clerkship directors. The survey identified topics that were considered essential or good to know by all students on their surgery clerkship, irrespective of their career destination. There also was good concordance between the topics that the medical students and the clerkship director suggested. Overall, out of the 32 proposed topics that were developed in think tanks or in focus groups, 21 proposed topics were rated as either recommended or absolutely essential, with abdominal pain, shock, and perioperative management scoring the highest. The remaining topics were considered good to know. This formed the basis of the National Core Curriculum for medical students in surgery. This curriculum is written by experts in surgical education. It covers material that every medical student should know, has really very well-defined goals and objectives, and the content aligns very well with these goals and objectives. It has teaching hints with special considerations, and the SHELF examination align with it. This material is available digitally so that it can be easily revised or enhanced with multimedia. We developed original content so as to not to infringe on any copyrights, as this curriculum is free of cost. We wanted students to develop a better understanding of the subject matter and demonstrate competency in these topics, as opposed to just getting good scores. We also wanted the SHELF exam to align with the curriculum, and so we invited Amy Morales, who was the director of testing at the National Board of Medical Examiners, to attend a task force meeting in Chicago. She advised us on how this could be accomplished. We engaged a group of clerkship directors and educators from ASE to become question writers for the SHELF. In addition, we have started working on our own question bank for use by clerkship directors to assess knowledge and provide formative feedback to students. The curricular material is currently available to all and can be accessed through the ASE or the ACS website free of cost. The next step was to integrate the national curriculum in the surgery clerkship. Therefore, we started a pre-pilot to do 2 years ago. We incorporated all essential topics defined by the curriculum, added institution-specific topics, aligned these topics with skills to be taught in the sim lab, and index cases that everyone must attend, and made additional institutional specific changes that we believed were important to our particular environment. This is an example of what the curriculum looks like in a nutshell. It is covered in 6 weeks. All of the content is covered. There are surgical skills that are associated with it, and these are borrowed from the ACS ASE student skills curriculum. Lessons that we learned were then made available to several other pilot institutions last year, including UCSF, MGH, Medical College of Wisconsin, Good Samaritan Phoenix, and UC San Diego. As a matter of fact, when we met a few months ago to develop questions, this group met either by Zoom or in person to discuss their experiences. Unfortunately, further work has been interrupted by COVID, in which everyone has to scramble, but that also provided a real good opportunity for us to be able to utilize this curriculum. Earlier this year, when medical schools shut down on-site classes due to COVID, we responded by adding online live tutorials on the national curriculum. These sessions were offered 3 times a week over an 8-week period by renowned content experts who are also actively engaged in medical student education. They know what medical students need. They can speak the language. They give them material that is important and essential to them. Here is the topics as well as some of the speakers who contributed their time to this effort. This year, COVID also affected graduating medical students, as they were not able to participate in prep curricular or skills workshop to prepare for their surgery internship. I'm sure all of you experienced that. Similar virtual adaptations of the preparatory skills are much needed and would serve our community well. This will be especially beneficial to those institutions that either lack the workforce or other resources to conduct their own courses. There is great variability among incoming surgery interns, and this would help level the playing field. The National Skills Curriculum is in its infancy. We need to add new competencies such as addressing diversity and inclusion, professionalism, and wellness and resilience. Such a curriculum could easily form the framework for educating a new generation of medical students. We like to think of great ideas, but not make the changes. As Alan said, this is a time that COVID has accelerated these changes. In our ASE program highlights, we heard much about artificial intelligence, machine learning, COVID, and the elimination of USMLE scores. If we could leverage our technology platforms to track the students' progress through such a holistic curriculum and demonstrate their competency in it, we would be working towards providing objective data to surgery programs seeking qualified applicants. Such a dashboard would go well beyond USMLE scores or the dean's letter. In fact, building on the Laycock lecture, would it not be nice to have a 1,000-student project where we collected data on a wide number of parameters and obtained useful information that would guide us forward on how to select suitable applicants? I want to talk a little bit about my journey through ASE. Life has been very kind to me. I've been blessed and crossed paths with many people, many of whom Danny mentioned. And they have helped me in so many ways, much of it fortuitous that they are too numerous to count, but have my sincere gratitude. As Danny mentioned, I joined the Association for Surgical Education in 2004 in Houston after my appointment as Residency Training Director at Creighton. We had an upcoming ACGME site visit, and I registered for the new Program Directors Workshop led by John Potts. I went back from the meeting feeling more confident. I learned that my institution was not unique in its problems. At ASE, I found a community of people who were willing to share their experiences and offer solutions. I felt rejuvenated, purposeful, and made many new friends. Soon after that meeting, Armour Force became the chair at Creighton, and we have been friends ever since. Prior to Creighton, I was at the University of Nebraska and met Tom Lynch and Paula Termeulen there. Tom and Paula Paula was a colleague, and Tom took me under his wings. And he subsequently became president of the Association for Surgical Education, and also Paula became the president of the APDS. Danny mentioned robotic bariatric surgery, and one of my colleagues there, and really my division chief, was John Thompson. And John Thompson was ribbing me one day about using the robot for duodenal switches, which I was doing open at that time. And of course, I think he was joking. I still to this day think he was joking. Maybe he was being half serious. But in any case, I took that as an opportunity to say, hey, John, that's a really good idea. Why don't we do that? And so we embarked on that mission. and successfully were able to do a robotic duodenal switch within a few months. I met Linda Barney when I was a resident at Wright State, and she was one of the chiefs. I was extremely impressed by Linda. She was so dynamic. I think she was cracking open a chest, as I recall, and showing one of the junior residents as to how to do it. I've already mentioned Linda's role in the curriculum, but she also led the development of the PowerPoint teaching modules as chair of the curriculum committee. During these development modules, I met Chris Brandt at that famous brewery that he mentioned. And obviously, I'm so grateful to him for he nominating me to the executive. How lucky can a person get? While I was a resident at Wright State, John Mellinger was faculty there as well. And everyone knows John as the past president of the APDS, being involved with SAGES and the American Board of Surgery. I attended the Surgeons as Educators course led by Deb DeRosa, Gary Dunnington, David Rogers, Steve Evans, some of whom are in this picture here in their younger selves. It was also attended by many of my colleagues, including Rebecca Menner and David Harrington. And many of you know that Dave was a president for the APDS this year alongside me. They have become lifelong friends as well. Working with the ASE branded curricula through the American College, I developed a close relationship with SACH. All of these people have taken me under their wings and supported me through the years. I often call them for advice on difficult decisions, whether it be career related or managing a personal challenge. Dr. Sachdeva was one of the people I sought advice from when our society faced cancellation due to COVID. The best part of this society is definitely the people we meet and the relationships that we develop. These friendships serve us a lifetime. Tom Lynch nominated me to the program committee. As program chair, I worked closely with Mary Ann Hopkins in the ASE, as she was president at the time, and on the editorial board of WISE-MD. WISE-MD was originally a collaborative between the American College of Surgeons, the Association for Surgical Education, and NYU. WISE-MD has been very generous to ASE and has regularly made financial contributions to our society. The national curriculum and WISE-MD are complementary products. As we look to the future, I hope that we will find ways to continue working together for the betterment of our education community. Working together, we will be stronger. If we are to implement widespread adoption and be agents of change in current practices, we need to be able to influence other significant stakeholders, such as the AAMC and the LCME. In order to achieve that, I would urge our society to continue working with our sister societies, including APDS and ACS. Our collective power is much greater. We have the brain trust, and we certainly have the constituency, so we need to become the big gorilla in the room. In fact, Dr. Sachdeva, who is one of the past presidents of the ASE, invited our society to join the Surgical Education Summit at the college headquarters in Chicago for the first time last year. In this summit, all major boards of surgical specialties, their RRCs, their program directors associations, and the ACGME were represented. The group meets annually, and being a part of it gives us a significant voice at the table. After all, our society is intimately involved in teaching medical students, and through our clerkship directors, coordinators, and other surgical leaders, we have the ability to directly impact medical students' education in surgery. Recognizing and leveraging strength with laser focus will help us establish our leadership in education. As I reflect back, both good and bad that occurred last year, I have learned that it is important to celebrate and enjoy all that is good in life. When things were terrible, I had to remind myself that good things were just around the corner. That hope gave me enormous strength, and I was able to continue moving forward. I was able to draw upon my previous experiences when I had overcome obstacles and knew that I will be able to do it again. Being healthy was extremely important. Of course, Danny showed you my pictures. That was not true. I do exercise for my physical and emotional health, but not the Superman that Danny showed. But it is one of the greatest gifts one can have when you think about it. You know, COVID gave you great perspective. We were complaining about the meeting being canceled or the loss of revenue, and lives were being lost in the hundreds of thousands across the world. It's always good to keep life in perspective. I was very fortunate to have my family and community of well-wishers at work and in this society who multiplied my strength. I'm particularly grateful to my mother, who was always there no matter what. I was also grateful to Rena Antonio. Rena in particular was extremely helpful when someone tried to extort money and damage my reputation, to give me a very balanced perspective. And Neil's love was always unquestionable. I also had great support from the people who worked with me. And I'm so grateful to the institution where I am, because they supported me to the nth degree. To my Duke Education family, my gratitude to Peggy Moore, who's my education manager and helps us manage the education enterprise. I tried very hard to get Peggy's picture, but she would not provide me with one. We have 16 program directors, 9 program training coordinators, 3 CME staff, clerkship coordinators, 192 residents and fellows, several classes of medical students, and all of this gives meaning to our lives. We are so grateful for them, and I'm certainly grateful for the support and love that they provide. The simulation staff is particularly close in my role as the simulation director, as Danny mentioned. These people have worked with me, some on the clinical side first, and then on the education side for over 10 to 12 years. I'm one of the rare faculty members at Duke who's been blessed to have the same scrub tech for the last 12 years. It's almost unheard of in an academic medical center. To my partners and to the trainees, my gratitude, because they managed the shop when I was busy or away or on conference calls. They've been terrific and great through good and through bad. To the ASE leadership, you people were tremendous, and you were great in helping me through this past year. I do not know what I would have done without all of you. The executive group worked very cohesively last year. We picked up from the great work accomplished by leaders before us and carried it forward. I believe our leadership will take you to greater heights in the future. I'm also very grateful to the committee chairs represented on this slide. They really guide our membership and the energy of our members into fulfilling our strategic missions. I would be remiss if I didn't mention my gratitude to Sally Matthews and to Dale Dallabon. Through the transition of executive directors last year, and we did have a revolving door, through the contract negotiations and meeting cancellations, they have been incredible partners. A new executive director, Yumi Hori, and the rest of the management team, including Paula, Catherine, Janae, Alondra, Miranda, and Rachel Taylor, are very strong members of the team and will keep the society moving forward. In closing, here are some memories from the fun times in the past. As you know, I followed Sue in pretty much everything that she did. She was the recorder prior to me, and she was certainly the president prior to me. Sue was great. She was so organized and so thoughtful that she always left the society in such great shape for me to be able to slip into that role. Of course, I followed Sue not just in the presidency, but also literally jumping into the water with her. Here is Celeste Hollins, Danny Scott, I, and Sue Staneman celebrating as she initiated her presidential year, jumping into the pool in Austin with all of our clothes on. I think Danny was kind of the ringleader in that particular thing. I'm talking about Dan Jones. So with that, I would like to share some happy memories of the past. I'm sorry we're not celebrating this together. I really wish we could do that, but maybe these pictures will remind you of the fun times that we've had. with that, I leave you wishing you good health and with a prayer that we'll meet each other soon. Danny.
Yep. I'm getting my camera back on. Thank you, Ron John. What a powerful speech, and I feel blessed to be with you tonight and with everyone on with us. And congratulations on a really moving speech. I think, you know, as I reflect on things, you really epitomize the spirit of the ASE, what we stand for and where we see the society going. And as you said, building on the success from the leadership we've had in the past, and you have built on that beautifully. I'd like to thank you for your countless years of service to our organization, and thank you for your outstanding leadership as president this year. Probably one of the hardest, if not the hardest year I think any of us have ever faced. And you did beautifully. You have provided us with a very humanistic and thoughtful perspective on so many issues, and we look forward to you continuing to do so for years to come. On behalf of the ASE, I would like to formally present you with this plaque. If we were in person together, I would give you a nice big hug, but given the circumstances, I will give you a virtual one instead, okay? And thank you for all you've done and all that you will continue to do.
Thank you very much, Danny. That is extraordinarily kind, and I will always value and cherish this. It's been my honor and privilege serving the society the past year, and I certainly couldn't have done it without all of you and your love and support through this year. A big hug to you as well. I now have to present you the ceremonial spoon. And so the membership may not know the history of this spoon, but it goes back to Austin. I think Amalia was in the process of moving from Utah to Ohio State, and the gavel, which is the traditional handoff to the incoming president, was still in her bags, packed away somewhere. And so she had nothing to give Sue Steinemann other than this very ceremonial spoon. Belongs to the hotel in Austin. Hopefully we didn't get docked for it, and nobody thought we pilfered it from there, but so it's my great honor and pleasure to give you this spoon. This is literally the silver spoon. So we are fortunate to have the silver spoon now passed on to you. So we can say, Danny, you were born with a silver spoon, at least as far as the virtual president, as far as the presidency goes. But officially, I would like to present this gavel to you as president of the Association for Surgical Education. I have absolutely no doubt, and everyone has already gotten a taste of it, that you will be a great leader. You will guide the society into the next orbit, if not the, the next, several planets away is sort of what I'm thinking. The solar system is what the word I was searching for. So yes, we certainly look forward to your leadership. You have all of our support, all of our love, all of our backing, and anything that I can continue to do for the society, I will, including providing institutional memory to the executive group this year. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you, and I'm honored, Ron John.